Coming up, why 53% of American workers are ready to leave their job. It's so simple, it's almost heartbreaking. And then a company is changing the way they do work, and you're going to love this, I think. Let's go. All right, I'm here to help you win at work, because if you're winning at work, life gets better and the paycheck gets bigger. How about that? Who doesn't want the bigger paycheck and the better life? And that's why I am here. All right, so let's dive into this. New data out about this opener that I mentioned, that 53% of people are ready to leave at a moment's notice. It's almost like they're just waiting for the straw to break the camel's back, to use an old phrase. And I can solve, if I were to sit with every leader in the United States and they were to truly listen to me, and I would make a strong pitch on what the data tells us and why I could solve their company's retention problems. It's 2 words. Thank you. Thank you. Just embody those 2 words. Just embody it. It's almost like taking a costume. And as a leader, when you walk in every day, before you walk in, it's almost like you could go into your own separate closet and you pull out this outfit, this almost like a mascot. And if you were to embody the 2 words that I just mentioned, your leadership will transform, your teams will perform. I'm telling you, it's just this simple. If you don't believe me, here's the data. 59% of employees say they have never had a boss who truly appreciates them. Now stop. I want you to just think for a second. If I were to ask you to tell me in your own words, what does it mean to be appreciated? Or another way of saying it is, describe how it feels, or what does it look like when you could say, I am appreciated? Personal or professionally, think about that for just a minute. Just lock into that. What would you say to me? Well, if this happens, or this happens, or this happens, I feel appreciated. What does that mean to you? In other words, what would have to be true? What would have to happen in the workplace for you to feel appreciated? And if you've worked in a place and work for a leader who appreciates you, or let's say you're working for a leader who appreciates you now, describe that. This is really important, because 53% of Americans say they would stay longer at their company if they just felt more appreciated for their work. Now, this seems like really low-hanging fruit for leaders to be able to pick and go, well, okay. Okay, that makes sense. How can I appreciate my team? I am a child of the 80s and 90s, and we had this silly little thing we did in youth sports for 2 or 3 years, where after the game, we would line up, and this was before you did the whole line up and shake hands, and I'm glad we evolved from this, and you'll understand in a minute, but we would almost like group up, and you'd stand about 10 feet away from each other, and the coaches would lead you in a chant, 2, 4, 6, 8, who do we appreciate? And you would say it as a group, and then we would say the other team's name, and then they would do it. And golly, it seems so cheesy now. We just did it as kids, because it's what the coach said to do, but that was like a thing, and maybe that wasn't a thing across the country, but it was a thing where I live. 2, 4, 6, 8, who do we appreciate, right? A little silly little chant. But that's essentially what leaders need to do to build the right culture, one person at a time. And if we can, as leaders and managers, truly show appreciation to the people we lead, man, you want to talk about a wonder drug for each individual team member. You want to talk about a competitive advantage. I could go on and on and on for hours about stories that I've read, interviews I've had with big-time coaches where they have told me about special teams, championship teams, and to a person, yes, there is an they've assembled some great talent. But they will say over and over again, it was not just the talent, it was that the talent came together. They could say it 80 different ways, but it is a unity that happens. And it is always starting with the coach or the leader. When you as a leader appreciate the individuals on your team, they begin to appreciate you. And then the best part, they begin to appreciate each other. Appreciation can be caught. In other words, it's like the flu. It'll spread, but it's the best thing ever. Now, having said that, setting this foundation of how important showing appreciation is, there's this massive, massive blind spot for leaders. And this is fascinating. So there's a study here, Harvard Business Review. I'm citing an article here. And there was a study done where they measured the amount of gratitude that authors expressed in the acknowledgement sections of their published articles in an academic journal over a 40-year period. And here's what they found. Higher-ranking authors, in other words, professors that had a lot of tenure, a lot of prestige, they thanked fewer people in their articles. But what they found is that if you weren't as tenured, you weren't as a big deal when you were doing published articles, you were so much more grateful. Hey, I'm grateful to this person, this person, this one. Now, this is fascinating. So they found the same pattern of results when they used a software program to analyze 136,000 comments among 12,000 Wikipedia editors. The level of power or prestige, it varied, but the higher power administrators expressed less gratitude. So they dug in more. Then they started looking at, well, what about people who aren't as high up the food chain, don't have as much power or prestige? And they found that they were much more grateful. So in their final experiment, they wanted to understand why high power and low power individuals express different levels of gratitude. And this is the warning sign for leaders. This is the warning sign for those of you who want to be leaders and you will move up the ladder. And this is the warning sign. Think of it as a temptation that you must be aware of. Higher power people, so think hierarchy on the org chart, higher power people express less gratitude because they feel more entitled to favors and benefits from others. Lower power people express more gratitude as a way to cultivate stronger relationships with powerful people. So the more power you have in the workplace, the less gratitude that you are likely to feel. And this is what is a level of entitlement. And many times when we talk about entitlement, we talk about it in political terms. We talk about it with teenagers, immature people, saying, well, I deserve this and I expect this. That's how we think of entitlement. But this is a leadership problem in that leaders, because of their power, their status, they get insulated because they just expect everybody to do what they say, when they say it, how they say it. And I get this. We're all susceptible to this. The data is stark. It's absolutely stark. So what do? You need to be aware of this little axiom. The more secure I feel in my power and in my authority, the less I see and appreciate the people around me. We forget that as the leader, you are essentially propped up by the team that you are leading. Their success is your success. But as a leader, we can get really clouded quickly and go, well, I'm the top dog here, so our success is replaced by I'm successful, and because I'm a good leader, we are good. And it should be flipped. Jim Collins calls this a level 5 leader in his classic Good to Great book. And the idea here is that when we win, I win. So we've got to be aware that this is a natural thing for a human being. The more power I get, the more secure in my power. I don't have to worry about, it's a food chain issue. Do you think the lion is walking around the savannah worried about anybody? He's not. The lion's not worried about anybody. So that's the deal. So here's how we fight this. You must turn gratitude for others into constantly expressing appreciation for others. You have to remind yourself how grateful that you are. Maybe you need a gratitude exercise, leaders, every morning before you hit the office. Maybe 2 or 3 times a week. You journal. You create your own system for, number one, for yourself, realizing how grateful you are for your team and your position of power and what it's done for you in your life. Let's just be grateful. That's the starting point. And then after we remind ourselves of gratitude, and that gratitude washes over us, and you go do your research on the Google about how being grateful has positive mental and physical and emotional effects on us. Now, once we establish the gratitude, now I need to share my gratitude in the form of appreciation. And that's the 1-2 punch. And that will ensure that you're a really effective leader, that you have a healthy team, and as a result, a spectacular championship level team, because everybody feels appreciated and wanted. And oh my goodness, that is the competitive advantage. So there it is. Be careful, leaders. Don't lose your gratitude. Don't stop showing appreciation ever. Hey folks, I want to tell you about one of our viewers, Nick. He was a high school chemistry teacher, not making enough for his wife to stay home with their kids like they wanted, and he needed a change. A friend told him about a tech job, and a few days later, Nick also heard about Bethel Tech and their full stack development program on this show. So he enrolled. He got in, he crushed it, he got hired before he even finished, and now, ready for this, makes $20,000 more with opportunities to make up to $150,000. So, what does your life look like a year from now if you were to move into tech? Will you bet on yourself like Nick did? For as little as $5,000 in just 15 weeks of your time, you can learn a skill that will land you a great job in tech. And remember, Ken Coleman viewers get a 10% discount. To find out more, go to betheltech.net/Ken Coleman. Welcome back to the Ken Coleman Show. Excited that you're with us. This little beauty right here on the desk, really excited about this. This has the Get Clear assessment in it. In fact, this really is, you're buying the assessment, and then this little short book takes about 45 minutes to read. Find the work you're wired to do. This brings you to your results, and it's like me sitting with you, coaching you. What do I do, Ken, with my purpose statement that shows me what I do best, what I enjoy doing most, and what results motivate me? And I see my kind of high-level job description. How do I now turn that knowledge, awareness of who I am into what do I want to do? Where can I do it? How do I get there? This is the answer. So this is a new tool. It's not like anything else I've written. This is for people who want to get the answers to who am I? What do I want to do? Where can I do it? How do I get there? This is all about self-awareness and professional direction. That's all this is. It's awesome. It's a pre-order opportunity right now for about a month. And when you order it now, you'll get the hardback, an assessment code, the ebook, and an assessment code. and the audiobook and an assessment code. That's like 3 books, 3 codes, great graduation present. Can I just tell you that? For someone who wants that confidence, those 4 questions get answered. You can get it at kencoleman.com. Pre-order it right now, and you get all formats of the book, 3 codes. So basically 3 books, 3 codes to the Get Clear Career Assessment. Great, great, great graduation gift or encouragement gift. Fabulous, fabulous price for all that value. It's nuts. So go to kencoleman.com in the store and you can get it. All right. This is exciting to me. I get excited when I see leaders get innovative and start decentralizing their leadership. This will be interesting to know what you think about this. So pharmaceutical giant Bayer is the hero of this particular story. We're going to see how this goes. This, in my opinion, what I'm about to share, there will be no middle ground on this. I think this is going to work really, really well, or it's going to be a spectacular disaster because this is different, and this is going to have to be led well. But I admire CEO Bill Anderson for what he is sharing. What is he wanting to do? He wants to transform their corporate hierarchy, and he wants to reduce bureaucracy as the way of doing that. The takeaway, he wants employees to have more power to make choices, and I love this because I think this really puts a pressure on him as a leader to allow this to happen in the organization. Here it is. This is interesting. Anderson has said the plan involves cutting the literal corporate rule book. Now, this is fascinating, and as a guy who hates rules, this gives me a warm, soft feeling. I'm trying to think my favorite comfort food. You know what I think it is? I think it's a warm slice of carrot cake. I don't know if you've ever had warm. I mean, it's just if it's not warm already, put it in the microwave for about 10 seconds. Just knock the room chill off of it. And a warm slice of carrot cake just gives me the feels. All the feels. Well, I read this, Alex, and this, for me, is leadership carrot cake warmed up. This gives me all the feels because I hate rules. Alex knows this. Here we go. You ready for this? Their corporate rules, because Bayer is a public company, their regulations exist in 1,300 pages. Are you kidding me right now? 1,300. That's, for those of you at home, that's 1,300 pages of rules. That's giving me a rash. I feel like, is my neck breaking out? Okay. They're going to cut that by 99%. This is his quote. I love this. He says, that's actually longer than War and Peace, the classic novel. He says, and it's a lot less exciting. No kidding. Can you imagine all the freaking rule makers who decided to come up with 1,300 pages of rules? Good Lord, man. No thanks. People long to be free. So beyond that, Anderson, the CEO of Bayer, wants to cut a big chunk of middle managers. This could absolutely work if they do it right. Now, why are they doing it? Just a really quick little note here. Bayer has been taking a real hit in its profits and their stock price. The stock has decreased more than 50%. And so the board, the stockholders are going, hey, bro, you got to fix this. And so he's trying. Nicholas Bloom is an economics professor at Stanford University. And in 2021, he published a paper in the American Economic Journal on what it looked like for organizational approaches that could help companies respond to macro shocks, this kind of a massive hit to the bottom line. And here's what it found. Decentralized firms, and that's fancy language for less hierarchy, all right, and less process to more organic and letting people be empowered to make the right decisions at all levels of the organization. In other words, it's not like, okay, in order to move one project forward, we got to have 17 people sign off on it. That's what we're talking about. And can I just say this? Because I want to teach a leadership lesson on this. The more centralized an organization is, the more fear is baked into the way they operate. The converse is also true. The more decentralized or democratic approach that a company has, the less fear is baked in to the culture. So Bloom says in his paper, by stripping out layers, this is hierarchy, all these levels of management, all this way up, it's kind of a cover your you-know-what, right? Everybody's trying to protect themselves. By stripping out those layers, you increase response speeds, which is particularly valuable in turbulent times. So here we go. What's going to happen? Well, that remains to be seen. But the CEO of Bayer, Bill Anderson, is thinking, my stock is in the crapper right now. I'm under pressure. I need to remove all my frickin' rules. I need to let people make decisions on the ground, people that are skilled, people that are experienced, people that are on board with our values and believe in the organization. Well, okay, great. Let's see what happens. So it's going to be interesting. They're going to remove a lot of middle managers. Right now, the company employs just under 100,000 people. So they're going to remove a lot of layers. And I'm never, a fan of anybody getting laid off. But I got to tell you, organizationally, sometimes you can be too top heavy. And in this case, they are. Now, will this work? It's going to all come down to Anderson himself. And will he do what he says he's going to do and take his hands off the reins and trust people and give them what they need to win? We'll see. All right, time to coach some people up. Let's go to Alex in San Francisco, California. Alex, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hi, Ken. Thank you so much for taking my call.
I'm happy to. What's going on?
Hey, so I've been a little bit unhappy at my current company, experiencing a lot of burnout and just some overall frustration with the company culture. I have found myself scrolling on Indeed, looking at other opportunities. I don't want to leave necessarily, but I have been looking. One of my predicaments is I'm starting law school this fall. So I guess my question is, and that'll take about 4 years, do I stay here and just kind of stay put for 4 to 5 more years? Or, should I look for that other opportunity, while, now before I finish school?
Okay, first question is, do we need to be bringing in income over the next 4 to 5 years while in law school?
Yes, that's the concern. My husband and I are cash flowing the law school, and my income is extremely important.
Well, then the answer is yes. We need to work. Okay. But do we need to work where we are? Where are you working? I mean, without giving me the name, what kind of is it a law firm itself, or are you working for just another company?
So I work for a large nonprofit, and I'm in a leadership position for their infant adoption program.
Oh, okay. Good for you. That's good work.
Yeah, I'm sure you know a little bit about that process as well.
I do. My wife and I adopted 2 children, and so this is a cause and a and a mission that is very close to my heart. And I know the industry well, and it's a very, very wild, wild west kind of world. And
that's what I call it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was curious because here's my next question, and I think I know the answer. But what are the elements or the causes of the burnout?
So it's kind of from a bunch of different directions. I feel it from everywhere. It's from my leadership team not having the support that I need. I'm kind of just left on my own.
Yep.
It's coming from my staff, kind kind of getting pulled in every different direction all the time.
Yep.
And then it's also coming from the clients, frustration with the process and having to kind of jump in and handle those types of conversations as well. So it's really coming from everywhere.
Yeah. Well, do you think that your leaders actually have the ability or the awareness, maybe both, to fix the process?
I think ideally they would want to. It's already been kind of acknowledged that there's kind of like a conflict avoidance culture within the company, but nothing's actually being done about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like only talk about the good things. We don't talk about the bad things.
Yeah.
There's no, there's a healthy level of conflict, right? And just none of those conversations ever exist.
Yeah, because what I find with nonprofits is they are made up of people who have huge hearts.
Yeah.
And whether or not they have huge brains or not doesn't matter, because even if they were super, super smart, their hearts always trump the head. And so they just respond to everything emotionally. And because of the missional result and the missional drive. And I was having a conversation. I had coffee recently with a guy who's a multi-millionaire and made his millions on Wall Street. And he's now retired from all that. He's got more money than he knows what to do with. And he consults with a lot of faith-based nonprofits because he's trying to get them to get out of the nonprofit mentality and get out of the ministry mentality, not because he's anti-ministry. He's right when he says they act differently. They don't run themselves like a business. And if they ran themselves like a business, they could do better. And he's like, I kind of wish that we'd have a lot of Christian businessmen or non-Christian businessmen who care deeply about social causes. It'd be great if they just started companies to do the same thing that your nonprofit is doing. And then if they ran it like a company, it would be so much more effective. And I think that's a part of this. So the reason I asked that question is, do you suffer from a little bit of guilt because you know that it's not going to get better and you really know you need to leave for all of the reasons you shared, but because it's such a dear cause to you, you feel some guilt?
Yes, I think that's fair. I'm very dedicated to the position and the role. So I've continued to stay here and just kind of put up with it. But you can only do that for so long. I
think you're almost to the end of your rope.
Yeah, that's what I've been thinking. But, my husband and I, we've been talking about it and just kind of thinking about what I'm going to do.
So, before we figure out what you're going to do, we have to get you in a place that you can figure out what you want to do. And so we got to remove the guilt. You are a good person. You have done good work for them. You can still contribute to this cause, even not working there. 5 years from now, you're out of law school and you're crushing it. You got a great law career in front of you. You can still contribute to this cause that is dear to your heart in different ways. Have I said anything that's untrue to you?
No, that actually gave me a perspective I haven't thought about yet.
Yeah, I get it.
That's helpful.
You're a warrior.
Thank you.
You've done incredible work, but the next season of your life is going to require you to not be burned out emotionally and mentally and potentially physically. So
correct. That's the concern too. Law school's a lot of work.
Yeah. So we're leaving.
I don't want to be burned out.
How much money do you need to make?
I could technically take a pay cut and still be able to pay.
No, let's not assume that.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah, let's not assume that. Okay. So what's the number if I called your husband up and said, hey, I got something for Alex. It's exactly the same amount of money she's making now, but she's not burned out. How would he react?
Oh, he'd be thrilled, I think.
All right. So what's the number?
95,000 to 100.
Okay, great. So you need to start today. So you're going to stay where you are because I don't think you're in a position to miss a paycheck. And I don't think you have to, because here's what I think. I hope getting off this call today, your mindset changes and you stop the guilt and the stress becomes less, because you go, I've done my time here. I've done well. I'm going to leave well, but I'm not leaving until I find something that replaces this income 95 to 100. So you show up with a different mindset. I'm thankful for this job because I'm doing good work and it pays me good. It pays me really well, actually. And so I'm going to deal with the crap for just a little bit longer until I find something. And you're going to go find something that pays you 95 to 100. Maybe you're looking at law firms where you do some stuff that's not lawyer, but they go, oh, you're going to be a lawyer one day. I would open up the entire range here, because all I care about is, if I was your husband, I would look at you across the dinner table tonight and I'd go, Alex, just go find something that's $95 to $100,000. That's a decent environment that doesn't burn you out, that just allows you to go do the job, collect the check, and focus on your law degree. That would be what I would say. Go find that.
Okay.
Because it's a bridge. We're building a bridge to your lawyer future. Make sense?
Yes, it does make sense. So
I'm actually less concerned, and I'm not coaching you right now on what the thing is, because I don't think it matters. In fact, I know it doesn't matter because, I preach talent, passion, and mission as kind of like, that's when you're on purpose. Well, that's hopefully what lawyering is going to be for you. So right now, it's like, Alex, go get something for 95 to 100,000 that is all talent. I don't even care if it's passion and mission, because quite frankly, it's not important at this season.
Right. Okay.
What are your thoughts?
I think that's great advice. Gave me a different perspective for sure.
Good.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you.
It's purposeful. The next job
exactly.
is purposeful in that it is helping you cash flow law school. It is purposeful in that hopefully it is removing the cause of burnout. So I don't care if it's dream job stuff. All I care is those two factors. Does it pay me what I need to make?
Right.
Does it remove the burnout? That's it. So don't stress over it. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
And your attitude is, oh man, what a break. What a break. Coming into work feels like a break now because I'm making the money I need and I'm not burned out and I'm really enjoying those law classes and I see a different future in my life. It's just going to be a game changer for you. Mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, and relationally with your hubs.
Yeah.
All right. You know what to do. Go do it.
Thanks, Ken. Thank you, Ken.
You bet. I'm not worried about you at all. I'm not worried about Alex. She's going to crush it. Good stuff there. All right. This is the Ken Coleman Show. You matter. You have what it takes. Press on.
Thanks for listening to the Ken Coleman Show. For more, you can find the show on demand wherever you listen to podcasts and watch the show on YouTube. You can also find Ken across all social media by following @Ken Coleman.